are correct. So with the day or so that we have left, I'd like to go over some great ideas. I'm sorry, just to stop, Mike, I'm getting a lot of reverb.
Oh, let me mute myself here. Give me 1 second.
Okay, so yes, that's much better. Thank you. So we're going to talk about the Perfect Kitchen Table presentation. This is the third in a series of webinars hosted by and sponsored by DynaSCAPE. So we're all very fortunate to have them as our sponsors and to allow us to bring this information to you. So what I'd like to do is, welcome everybody. And what I'm going to do is spend about 5-6 minutes just going over some background information. For those of you that have listened to the other webinars, this will be a reminder of what we discussed before. For those of you that are listening to this webinar for the first time, this will give you some context of what we're talking about, and just a real nice picture of a project that we did several years ago overlooking Manhattan. So the Perfect Kitchen Table presentation. The reason that's the topic of this presentation is because for the majority of us, we do our presentations at people's homes, typically at their kitchen table, sometimes the dining room table, but more often than not at their kitchen tables. We're in people's homes. It's an uncontrolled environment. There are kids crying, dogs barking, phones are ringing, which is typical for being in somebody's house. So if your expectation is, that type of scenario, it makes it a lot easier for yourself. It makes it a lot easier for your clients. One of the last things that you want to do is, when you're doing a presentation, is to make your clients feel uncomfortable in their own home. So if something's going on, nothing's ever a problem. If the phone's ringing, they have to feed the kids, whatever they have to do, it's all fine, because, again, you're doing a presentation in someone's home, not in a professional office building. And the last thing to note up there is we're going to choreograph the presentation and manage the chaos and then do the deal. And I'm just going to walk through that. Do the deal is the fifth step in the 5D process that I've talked about before. Just a reminder that the reason that we go through all of this is because the more information, the more concepts, the more ideas we show clients, the more likely they are to make purchases. So if we only show them what they've asked for, then that's all they can buy. If we show them more, show them new ideas, things they haven't thought of, there's a very good chance that they're going to buy more of the work, more of the services that you provide. So you really hamstring yourselves when you only provide the clients with the information or the design that they asked for and that's what a lot of this whole process is based on. So just a reminder, the 5D process was develop the program, determine the priority, discuss the budget, design the dream, and what we're talking about today is do the deal. Again, just to go through a few of these slides, and I promise just a couple of minutes, and then we'll get on to some new stuff. When you're developing a program, you want your clients to dream big. You want to dream big. You want them to get excited about the project, because the more excited they are, the more enthusiasm there is, the more momentum there is for the project, and later on, as you go get into this process more and go through this scenario, what you're going to find is that clients are going to naturally do, because they're excited, they're going to install larger projects than they initially planned on, and you're going to have more work from fewer clients at a time when it's difficult to get the work. So any customer that you get, you really want to maximize the amount of work that you can do with them. So that's developing the program. Once you've developed the program and have gone through the process of their entire wish list, you need to establish what the first phase of work is going to be. This is in direct contrast to a lot of other processes where we get a budget, we get all their ideas, and then we try to thinly spread the budget throughout the entire project. What my process is, and the goal of all of this, is that once you have them thinking about all the ideas and being excited, they need to narrow it down to what their first priority is going to be. After that, you need to discuss the budget. So this is the third D. You need to discuss the budget of what they're looking to spend. And the other webinars, we've gone through exactly how to do that, how to get a budget number, and that it's a complete waste of time working with them if you don't have some sort of number to work with. So this is step 3 in the process. Step 4 is to design the dream, to come up with a master plan of their property, of all the ideas that they talked about and discussed, all the things they want, whether it's going to be now, in 3 years, 5 years, or they may never do it. It's just to get all the ideas on paper, because that's what's exciting. That's what's going to make people add more work to their project. All right, so the 4th step is designing the dream. And now what we're up to is doing the deal. All right, so even though, and where we left off in the last webinar, was that there should be a walk in the park. Everything's already been figured out. There's no surprises. There's no guesses on how much the project's going to be, because the budget's established, the priorities are established. Everybody knows what you're going to do, and it's just a matter of signing a couple of pieces of paper and finalizing the deal. With that said, there are still ways that you could potentially wreck, your process, where you could either frustrate your clients, and we talked about a lot of that in the unbiddable master plan, of how to give enough information but not too much information. So even though you should be walking into this meeting, this sales meeting, very confidently, keep in mind it's not a slam dunk, it's not a guarantee, and you should still treat it with the same respect as your other meetings are. If you've done everything correctly, you're in good shape, but there's still possibilities for them to say, I'll think it over, or to walk away from the project. So we're going to focus on how to do the presentation and what you need to do the deal. Okay, so with that said, prior to actually sitting down with your client, there are steps that you have to take. It's not, the presentation isn't all about the physical presentation itself, where you're sitting down with them. There's some preparation that you have to do before the presentation, and we're going to walk through that. There's the presentation itself, where you're going to describe and discuss all of the work that you're going to do, all of the ideas, all of the concepts, and really walk the clients through the master plan, and then focus on the specific project. And then the third part of doing the deal is the actual closing of it. And closing really just refers to the excuse me. The closing refers to just signing the contract and getting a payment. And there shouldn't be any objections at this point, because we've resolved everything early on. But there may be some questions that you just need to answer, some information that you may need to provide your clients, and that's what the closing is all about. All right, so I have a quick question up here for everybody. Obviously, you can't respond because you're on mute, but the question is, what is the best day to do the deal? In other words, what's the best day of the week to meet with a client, to sign a contract and get a deposit? I'll give you a second. And the answer is Saturday morning between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Okay, this is prime time for sales. Okay, because on Saturdays are a day for people to get things done, and 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock is your prime time. So as you're thinking about the perfect kitchen table presentation and doing the deal, you should really try to line up your significant sales prospects between 9 and 1, 9 and 2 o'clock on Saturday. Barring kids' sports, it's really just a day to get things done. I typically try not to have appointments, first-time appointments on Saturday mornings. I prefer to do evenings, mornings, afternoons, anything but Saturday. So it's a nice little nugget for you. My background, just again, I've been in the green industry for 35 plus years. I have a bachelor's degree in landscape architecture from Cook College. master's degree in landscape architecture from UMass, and as we discussed before, I'm the executive director of the New Jersey Landscape Contractors Association. I've sold over $30 million in design and build work throughout my career. Editor of FromDesignToBuild.com, which I'll give you more information about that later. I provide design build sales coaching and consulting to landscape contractors, pretty much what we're talking about right now, but more on a group or individualized basis. As Mike pointed out, I have a radio show now, an internet radio show, which has been very cool, and I'll let you know about that. And I just do a lot of public speaking as well as webinars for DynaSCAPE. In magazines, I have a column in Landscape Management, Profiting from Design. That's every other month I'm featured in there. I'll be in Landscape Ontario magazine coming out this issue when it comes out. And I just write for a lot of trade industry magazines, and you can see a list up here. I have things that I call trade secrets. Just to give you an example, here's a trade secret. It's a driveway of pavers. When I do public presentations, I ask everybody which brand of pavers they are. Everybody typically guesses. If you look at it, you can guess whatever names you want, but it's all the leftover pavers that you have from all the jobs where you have 100 square feet, 200 square feet of pavers left over. One trade secret is to use all of those pavers, mix them all together, take out the red pavers, and install a large hardscape area. This driveway saved about $3,000, $4,000 in materials, and it all looks great together. All the colors blend very well together. And these are the types of trade secrets that I send out. Let everybody know I'm north of the Jersey Shore, or currently what's left of it from Sandy. It's been devastating what's going on down there. But I'm about an hour or so north of that. And as I've said before, I'm in Bergen County, where the Real Housewives of New Jersey are. Another question is, and this again is more in the public presentations, and something that's very important for all of you as we're talking, is when asked for a business card by clients, more than 50% of the contractors don't have one available. If you check your pockets now and you don't have a business card, that's an opportunity that's going to be lost. So you need to make sure you carry business cards with you. We talked about the difference between having a proposal with a lot of language on it versus having a master plan. And those, again, you can look at the other webinars. And then just basically, which would you choose? The color-rendered master plan or the contract that is really difficult to follow and difficult to understand, and all the clients are going to look at is the price. So let's talk about and get into the kitchen table presentation. The first thing, the first part of it is this preparation for your presentation. You don't want to just show up at somebody's house. You don't want to walk in there blind. You don't want to walk in unprepared. So the first thing you're going to do, whether it's yourself or somebody from your office, you want to call and confirm your appointment. The appointment's already been set. Everyone knows that you're going to meet. You want to call a day or two before the appointment just to confirm it. It sounds like not a big deal, but it really is. It shows professionalism. It reminds people about the appointment, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that showed up to somebody's house and they've completely forgotten about it. All right, so it shows you're professional. It reminds them of what time the appointment is. It gives them the opportunity to change the time if it's a problem for them, or to remind themselves to make sure that they're home that day. So it's very important. It takes a minute, and just confirm your appointment. What you want to do also before your meeting is, who's ever doing the presentation, and it might be the designer, it might be a salesperson where you have in-house designers and there's somebody that's just is going to explain the plan to a client, or maybe you do it together. You have a designer and a salesperson together. So there's a lot of different scenarios that are out there. Regardless if you've designed it or you're the person presenting it, you need to review it. You need to know what's in the design. It sounds, again, it sounds funny, but you may not understand all the intricacies of the design. If you've designed it, you're in better shape than just a salesperson. but you want to remind yourself why you did things. You may have designed this a few weeks ago, and some of the ideas have gotten away from you. So you want to go through everything. You want to review your proposal. Okay, this is a biggie, and this is something that people tend not to do, which is read their own proposal to make sure that they know what they're including in the price, in the contract. There's nothing worse than the client asking you if something's included, you telling them yes, only to find out later on that the answer is no, or for you to say, I don't know if that's included or not. Not that you can't, not know things, not that you have to be perfect, but you really should know what's included and what's not included. And the only way to do that is by reviewing your own proposal. And then you also want to make sure, and we touched on it last time, the legalese in the back. You need to understand what you're responsible for, what your contract says. Some people like to go through it item by item, and you should know what you're responsible for, and you should be able to respond when they have questions about the legalese. Obviously, none of us are attorneys, but at best, we should understand it. And if there's something you don't know, say you don't know, but then get back to them with that information. Okay, and practice your presentation. I do it a lot in my car. I practice these presentations while driving around because there's nobody there. It just gives you the opportunity to speak without getting nervous. More of the preparation. You should know your schedule. Prior to going into this meeting or at these meetings, one of the first few questions that the client asks, which are always a great question because you know you're 95% there, is they're going to ask you when you can do the work. Okay? So you need to review your schedule to know when you can do the work. The reason for that is you don't want to say 2 or 3 weeks, and in reality, you can't get there for 5 or 6 weeks. It's another thing that before the project even starts, the clients are upset with you because you said 2 to 3 weeks, it's 5 to 6 weeks. So know your schedule, look at it, know about how long the project is going to take, and let the clients know. Don't just guess it's going to be 2 or 3 days, but it's really 7 or 8 days. Know how long the project is supposed to take, and make sure that they know when you can start. Again, you can't give them an exact date, and one thing that I always remind my clients of is I can tell them we're going to start in 2 to 3 weeks. Do not change your schedule. Do not stay home. Do not take the day off and wait for me, because there's a good chance that the weather's going to change that schedule. Something's going to come up on another project. So you just need to let them know roughly when the work's going to start, and then as you get closer, let them know closer to what the day is, and then you can call them and let them know what the actual day is. The next thing, number 4, sign the proposal. What I like to do is before I go into the meetings, and I have a folder with the proposal, all the information, a copy of the plan, etc. I sign it and date it myself, and I recommend that everybody goes into this meeting with a signed copy of the proposal. The reason for that is, again, a subtlety, but it's saying we're good to go, we're set, we're signed, we're dated. You just need to sign your part and move on. It seems like it's not a big deal, but it's much nicer for a client to receive, when you slide the contract over to them, that you're already signed. It's another kick in the pants for them to go, oh, yep, we're here, it's time to sign, they've signed, it's time to sign it and date it. And then the 5th thing I have is plan options in phases. Let's say somewhere along the way something happened, and you need to change your strategy a little bit, or you need to offer some options, or maybe all of a sudden they called an audible and they don't have as much money as they need. Have some ideas of ways to alter the project need be, remove a section need be, and or just that you can change the material or change some of the plant sizes. When you go to your meetings, you want to be ready, you want to be relaxed, and you want to be positive. All right, so this is a nice exercise to go through when you're in your car. Take a few deep breaths. You need to be positive. You can't go in there with anything if there's stuff going on at home, or stuff that's going on with another project, or something that's not working out for you. Doesn't matter. It's show time. You're there for your client. You're there to be positive. Everything's good. If you're relaxed, they're relaxed. If you're uptight, they're going to be uptight. If you have negativity, they're going to feel that, and there's going to be negativity on their end. Simple things. Take off your shoes. Okay? I do this. I don't wear work boots anymore, but it's a polite thing to do. And if you have muddy boots on or muddy shoes on, it's the right thing to do. Even if people tell you not to do it, just do it. It shows respect. It's the right thing to do. It's a little thing. We need to talk about who sits where. Okay, this is another small item but very important. When you're sitting at a table, you're going to you're walking in the house, going into the kitchen. You're going to sit down at the kitchen table. What you want is your clients. You don't want, typically we're meeting with a husband and wife. You don't want a husband on your left and a wife on your right, or the husband and the wife. You want them to be really on the opposite side of the table with you, or if you're on one side, one person's at the end and the other person's across from you. The reason for this is you don't want to keep looking left and right every time you're trying to explain something. So think about it. If you're in the middle, you're sitting down, there's somebody on your left and somebody on your right, you need to acknowledge both of them as you're doing your presentation while looking at your drawing. So you're going to keep looking left to talk to one of the spouses, look at the drawing, and then look to the right. It's very disorienting, makes you lose your place, becomes confusing, and I've actually gotten dizzy by doing that. So just have them opposite the table from you that's not confrontational, or somebody to the left and somebody across from you. And then start the presentation off with just a little bit of chit-chat. Don't jump right into the plan. How are you? Talk about the weather. If there's something that you have in common or familiar with, talk about that. Don't just jump right into the drawing. During your presentation, don't complain about anything. Again, that goes along with the negativity. And the second thing is to make sure your cell phone is off, or at least on vibrate. It's really unprofessional, distracting, and really it's inconsiderate to answer your phone while you're meeting with your clients. It says something's more important than they are. Now, granted, if your wife is pregnant, then by all means keep it on, or there's something that you have to worry about, an emergency with your kids, keep it on vibrate. But everything else is secondary to this meeting, and your clients deserve and should have your full attention. So make sure your phone is off, it's in your pocket, or somewhere close by. Here's some things that you're not going to learn anywhere else, and are little but very important. Okay, when you have your drawing, I typically carry my drawings in a drawing tube. I'm sure a lot of you do. You can get a nice one for $15, $20. Don't use the mailing tubes, because your drawings, you roll them up too tight, and then when you slide them out, they're curled up so tight you're fighting the drawing. All right, so get a nice drawing tube, $15, $20, and again, makes you look more professional and protects the drawings. All right, so what I want to talk about, so now you're at the kitchen table, and there's some really neat presentation techniques I'd like to talk about. Roll your drawing backwards. The natural tendency for all of us is to roll the drawings forwards, having the rendered portion of the drawing to the inside, because we want to protect that. Okay, what you want to do is the exact opposite. You want to roll your drawing backwards, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Okay, rolling it forwards is what we typically do, where the color is to the inside, and the back is facing us. So when you roll the drawing backwards, what happens is when you unroll it, it lies flatly on the table, like the drawing that I have shown here. It's not curled up, maybe a little bit in the corner, but the tendency is for the drawing to lie flat. Okay, if you have the drawing rolled forwards, this is what's going to happen. And I'm hoping some of you are smiling right now, realizing that this is exactly what happens, and it's difficult to fight the drawing. So you take it out, now you're fighting with it. And here's what all of us wind up doing. We start looking for things on the table, grabbing a glass, cup of coffee, a salt and pepper shaker, whatever's on the table, to start holding the corners down. Okay, doesn't look great. Now here you are all set up for your presentation, and this is what it looks like. Okay, I mean, I don't even have to comment on it. It looks horrible, and you can solve this quite easily by just rolling your drawing backwards and letting it just open up by itself. What this also does as a secondary, negative to, besides looking horrible, is that it detracts. It makes the drawing seem less expensive. I know a lot of you do beautiful professional drawings, and where you have clients, maybe the children there looking at it, they will make sure the kids don't even touch the drawing or that they can't spill something on it because they treat it like a piece of artwork, which it really is. And you want that. You want them to feel that way, that this drawing is so important, please don't touch it. And the minute you start putting macadamia nuts and cans of Coke and a gavel, I don't know where that came from, on the drawing, it cheapens it. Okay, it cheapens the whole experience for everybody. The drawing now is something, it might as well be a placemat at this point. Another thing that I like to do, and I recommend that all of you do, and why I'm saying abracadabra, is this is another really great technique that you should do at your kitchen table presentation. What I do is I bring an unrendered copy and a rendered copy to my presentations, and I'll show you the reasons why. But there's essentially two reasons. The first one is that when I have my drawings in the drawing tube, I have one unrendered copy and one rendered copy. I have the unrendered copy on top and the rendered copy behind it, and then I roll it backwards as we looked at before. Okay, so that all that can be seen is the unrendered blueprint of the drawing. So I take this out of my tube, I have the unrendered copy, and underneath it now is the rendered copy. I lay those out on the table for the clients. Okay, it's a nice looking drawing. It's, this drawing is fine, looks pretty good. The clients look at it, they're happy-ish. They're not really sure what they're looking at. Okay, but it's a nice drawing. They don't want to say, what the heck is this? We have no idea what you're showing us. But they like it, but they're unsure. So I lay this out on the table. I go, close my tube up, do, futz around with my bag a little bit for, 15 seconds or so, and then I turn around and I go, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the right copy of the plan. And then what I do is, what I recommend all of you do, is now start, and I'm showing it slowly here on the presentation just for the visual effect, but what you want to do is unveil the rendered copy that's beneath it. Okay, and I do it typically in one fell swoop. I just pull it like you're pulling a tablecloth underneath a bunch of plates, trying not to break them. So what you're doing is you're creating a great experience. You're unveiling the drawing for them. Now all of a sudden they see this color rendered plan. Now they're super, super excited, as opposed to if you just rolled it out on the table and they looked at it, they would be excited about it. They think it's beautiful, but this is just another little step. It's all premeditated. I clearly admit it. It's a great presentation technique, but that's a lot of what you're doing right now is you're presenting. It's a bit of a show, and you should treat it that way. So you take it off, and now they have this beautiful rendered plan to look at. I'll just show you again. So here it is, unrendered, and this is what your clients are going to see, rendered. Do it again. Unrendered, rendered. Color's a huge difference. If you don't use color, you're really shooting yourself in the foot, and you need to make sure that and DynaSCAPE has a wonderful render program, so you should make sure that you present everything in color. All right, let's talk about a few other ideas. Okay, so now we did some more presentation stuff, some of the kind of nuts and bolts and some of the showmanship of your presentation. Let's get back into it now. Okay, so you have the plan. Lay it out for the clients. You want to present the experience, okay, not the materials. As much as we all like how much QP and gravel and how many tons of stone, that we're using in the project, the clients, they want to know the experience that they're going to have, that they're going to have this beautiful oasis, that they're going to have privacy, a putting green where they could, go out every night and practice their short game. All right, so as much as you care about all the materials is as much as they really don't care about the materials. So you want to talk about the experience that they're going to have, how they're going to be out there barbecuing on a summer's evening, really painting a picture of what the experience is going to be like. So here's a copy of the master plan. Okay, so what you want to do, and as part of your presentation, is there's some steps you need to take while presenting. So you have this drawing. There are lots of things going on. The client's eyes they're looking all over the place. You need to have a process of how you present your drawings. All right. And what I do is the first thing I do is I orient them. As much as we think they understand plan view, and if you do all your drawings in plan view, you still need to spend a minute or two orienting them. So, for example, I'll try using the mouse here. I say, this is the house, okay? They should know it's the house. It looks like the house, but they should know. This is a corner piece of property. Yeah, I'll get rid of the mouse. It's a corner piece of property. So there's two streets. I'll tell them what the streets are. I'll explain to them the perimeter, where the other neighbors are. I'll orient them, and then you'll hear something, oh, this is the driveway. Oh, this is the front door. Right, that's what you want. It's like a shopping mall. You are here. All right, so you want to let the people know. You don't want to assume that they understand everything because you understand everything. All right, so once you orient them, and another little tip or trade secret is I try to also lay out the drawing in the way that the property is. So in other words, the backyard, I want that facing the backyard, the front yard facing the front yard. So when you're sitting there, instead of spinning the drawing around and saying, oh no, if you were facing the other way, that would be the property. So if you could really set up the drawing the way that the real property is set up, that's a big help. If you can't, you do what you can. Now, so you've orientated them to their drawing. You want to go and not jump around. You want to start, whether you want to start in the front yard, you want to start in the backyard, the side yard. I typically like to start in the front yard and walk them around the house. If you do it in a clockwise fashion, that's just a very comfortable way of doing things. So you start with the front walkway. So in this case, the blue area, this front walkway and the landing. Start talking about that. Talk about the steps and the retaining walls. Then walk them along the path on the left side that's bringing them around to the driveway. Talk about the driveway. Talk about the plantings around the driveway. Talk about your ideas of why the driveway is the way that it is and some of the features and benefits of the driveway and how the kids will be out there riding their riding their tricycles. Excuse me one second, I'm just going to get some water. It's a place to play basketball. You could stack 3 or 4 cars. So if this was a busy street, you could explain how their guests can come visit them and park in the driveway and still have plenty of room to get in. You walk around the back of the house, the deck, what the experience is going to be like, how much room there is, the privacy along the rear, how they could see the play structure. Okay, so you're going to walk everybody around it. You're going to go to the swimming pool next and talk about that and how private that area is and how you've extended the patio and how the side lawn area, is now their backyard. So you're walking around the property in a logical fashion, in a logical order, and not jumping all over the place, not just talking about hardscapes, then talking about plantings. And it's okay if they ask questions. You want that. You don't want to get off track. If you're at the front walkway and they say, well, is this the pool over here? Yes, it is, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, you want to control your whole presentation, and this gets back to why you should practice it. The more you do it, the better you'll get. So I just have some close-ups of what I spoke about. So you walked around from the front to the driveway area. So this is, again, just giving the concept to talk about the paver border or maybe some of the detail. If there was, I have a dogwood tree there that was probably specified by, either the husband or the wife, I want to point that out. I want to explain that that's their dogwood tree that they talked about. Again, moving around to the back, talking about the deck, how you can park and the flow from the driveway to the deck area and into the backyard, which is a very unique and very tiny backyard. The deck is pretty much the entire backyard itself. The deck's probably about, I'd say about 40 feet long. It's about 800 to 1,000 square foot deck, so it's a decent sized deck. But you'll talk about how somebody could park in the driveway and come around to the swimming pool very easily, come up on the deck, come into the house, how you've thought about all of these things. You bring them around to the swimming pool. So we're going clockwise with all of this. How the shed and the equipment's hidden and how it's just a nice private oasis, and how the arborvitae along the right side screening the neighbors on the right, and that there's a lot of seasonal color. And then coming around to the main backyard area, which happens to be their side yard. So you're bringing them around to that, again talking about all the interest, the privacy that you've developed, and really getting them excited about the overall plan. Okay, so you're going to present your plan in a clockwise fashion, and at least in an organized fashion. Okay, another thing that winds up happening, or sometimes presentation, and the clients are asking questions, and again that's very good, and they may ask you some questions about yourself or just what your opinion is on some things, and by all means give your opinion, but don't let the presentation ever become a presentation about you, about things that are going on. While it's nice, really what you want to do is always kick it back, and you're focusing on your client. This is their time. Okay, you can talk to them later on as the project's going on, talk about more things that you have in common, but really focus on them and don't get distracted by it. Okay, here is the second reason why I recommend bringing an unrendered copy and a rendered copy. So the first reason was because of just for theatrics and to have a to unveil the beautiful color rendered plan. The other reason for this is, and again, if you listen to the other webinars, the other DynaSCAPE webinars, we talk about that this is a very short sales cycle. You meet with the client one time, you basically do 4 Ds, you get all of their information, and this is the first time that they're actually seeing the drawing, and it's the first time that they're seeing the proposal. There is a way to do that where you don't need to have 3 or 4 separate meetings, where there's one meeting, they agree that they're going to do the design work with you, you do all your site work, you leave, you put your plan together and the proposal based on the information and budget and priorities. Now they're looking at the drawing for the first time. The reason that you want to have an unrendered copy is that's the one you want to draw on and make notes on. Say the clients, there's certain things they didn't like about the drawing, or certain changes they want to make, or questions that they had. I don't like to mark up the render drawing for the same reasons I don't like to put cans of soda on it, is because it cheapens it. The second thing is that I don't want to have to go back and really make revisions to the plan and have that as an excuse of why you cannot sell the installation. So I bring a Sharpie, a couple of Sharpies, and start making notes on the drawing, on the unrendered plan. With that said, and whether you use bond paper or, again, in my case, blueprints, you need to make sure you're not on a very expensive table, because the markers tend to bleed through your drawings, and if you're using a pen and you're on a nicer wood table or dining room table, you could gouge their table. So I typically bring trace paper, I'll lay it underneath the unrendered copy and then make notes. And as you can see, some of the notes were, once they saw the plan, they wanted to talk about a fence. They had some ideas about a pergola. They were thinking about adding steps to the patio. They weren't sure if there was enough room for the cars or their car to pass to get in the garage. And I'll tell you right now, it's very tight. And but they were able to get into it as long as they didn't buy an Escalade or something of that size. So all those notes and all those ideas are on that plan. If I do need to go back and make revisions to it, I'm still going to get the contract signed with the plan that they have now. I'll go back and then revise the drawing, need be, and write up a change order. But this is a great way to not have an excuse for them to say, you know what, we'd like to make some changes. Why don't you make those changes and then come back? Okay. The presentation itself. All right. Present the plan, and then we talked about it in the unbiddable master plan. You want to present the proposal along with the plan so that they know what they're paying for. I tend to do, I go around the project once, the entire plan once, and then I'll pull out the proposal and then start focusing on the actual work that we're doing. I don't even have the proposal really on the table at this point. I keep it in my bag because I don't want that to be a distraction. So after you've gone, once presented the entire project and they're very excited about it, now you're going to key in on the proposal itself plus what their priority was. Okay, so they have the big idea, and now they know what they're going to be paying for, and now you're taking out the proposal and you're going to show them, okay, you know, if it was the front walkway, here's the front walkway, and look at the proposal, and here's the price for the front walkway. The steps, price for the steps. The plantings, price for the plantings. So you keep referring back and forth so they know exactly what they're getting. And it's very clear. They get the whole big idea, and now they get the specifics. And as I said before, it's exactly what you've talked about, so there are no surprises. The proposal, the price of it, should be exactly what you all agreed to, you know, plus or minus a few dollars. And the project is exactly what you discussed, the front walkway, front steps, and front plantings. Just again, a quick mention on the proposal writing, and this is on the Unbiddable Master Plan video. I try to keep the proposals as simple as possible. I write as per plan as much as I can. I recommend doing templates. I have templates in QuickBooks that makes it very easy to put together a proposal. DynaSCAPE has Manage 360, which makes your life incredibly easy when it comes to putting the proposals together. And then a list, you know, and I recommend when you do your proposals, put them in the order that the project is going to be installed in. Okay, again, it's very important information. It makes it much easier for you to present your proposal. Just as if you go clockwise on your drawings, it gives you a process and a system. If you present your proposal the way that the job is going to run and you've laid it out that way, it's very easy for you to present it to your clients. Your clients will understand everything that they're getting, and you won't confuse them and you won't confuse yourself. Again, refer to the plan during the presentation. The closing. Okay, you've gone through everything. Everything's perfect. You've done your job 100%. There's still a couple of things that you should do for error on the side of professionalism, but also just a great way of doing business, because typically people are giving you a large sum of money. They're giving you a deposit, however you structure your deposits, but they're giving you a large sum of money, and money isn't funny. It's very serious, and you want to take it very seriously. So in the last two steps, you want to make sure that they're comfortable giving you a check, because again, I can't be the only one that I thought I did everything right, but then the next day there's a phone call or an office message at the office that says, you know what, we thought about it and we decided that we don't want to go ahead with it. Can you just send us back the check, or we put a stop payment on the check? Worst feeling in the world. You've done everything correctly, but there was something maybe along the way that you missed. And buyer's remorse is because you did something wrong, not because people got panicked, or if they did get panicked, it was because you did something wrong. You didn't make them feel comfortable. Okay, so you're at the point now where you've reviewed the proposal. They completely understand everything. They know what they're getting. Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited. You've talked about when the job is going to start. They have an idea of, you know, whether it's 2 or 3 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, etc. So what you want to do is now you're talking about the money. Okay, You want to talk about the payment schedule. You don't just want to sign it and take off. You want to talk about the payment schedule. The deposit is X dollars. We'll need another deposit or another third or another quarter or 50%, however you're doing it. And again, we discussed that in some of the other presentations. You want to discuss that and go through it and make sure everybody understands. Don't assume that they know. Don't assume that you know. Well, you know. Don't assume, I'm sorry. Don't assume that they know. You want to just go through it. Do you understand another payment is due a week after we start, or a payment is due the day we arrive, or 2 days before we arrive? All right, so you just walk through it. Yes, we understand. And then you need to stick to it as much as they need to stick to it. I have what it says is bad deposit moves. Okay, once somebody writes you a check and sends it to you, that's not the end of the transaction. That's not the end of the meeting. Do not take the money and jump up and down and go, yeah, super, wow, this is great. Oh, thank you. It's just part of the transaction. They wrote you a check, that's great, thank you. They signed a contract, thank you. Don't take the check and put it in your wallet, okay? Not at any time. If you're going to, at the end of the meeting, fold it up with the contract. If you have a paper clip or one of those smaller black type clips, just attach it to the proposal. Don't stick it in your pocket. It just looks bad. All right, and now you're 99% done. You want to ask them if they have any more questions. Okay, it's very professional. Do you have any more questions? They've given you a check. They've signed a proposal. And ask them. If they have more questions, they'll ask you. You stay till they're done asking questions, and you make sure they're comfortable with it. This is where the buyer's remorse will not come up. Once they're done asking questions, you get up from the table, you thank them, and you leave. Okay? No, I'm sorry, I have one slide before that. That you, when they're asking questions, review the project and process. You actually go through a little explanation of what the next step is, who they're going to contact. If it's not you, then you need to let them know who's going to be calling them, who's going to be contacting them. If it's somebody from the office, if it's the, if you're out of the picture as a salesperson till later on, and the project gets passed to your construction supervisor, let them know who that is. And then again, ask and see if they have any more questions. Okay, it's very important. It's very important that you go through that exercise. And then, this is the slide I jumped up to, is you want to leave. Okay, it's you say goodbye, you put your boots back on, a little bit of chit-chat or shoes back on, some small talk, and then you leave. Okay, and the reason I bring this up is because if you're working with somebody else, say it's a design, you have a designer and a salesperson, or you're designing independently, and the sales meeting is with the contractor that does the installation. The tendency is to go outside and recap what happened, how everything went. It's very disturbing for a client to see you hanging out in front of their house for a while talking about things. You could be talking about anything. It's just a bad practice. So if there's two of you that are involved in this, or if you're going to call somebody just to let them know, because you're excited that you made the sale, that's fine. But get in your car, get in your truck, and leave and go somewhere else to talk about it. Go meet for coffee or call somebody on the phone, but just do it away from the front of the customer's house. And as we remember from the previous, the unbiddable master plan, and everybody lived happily ever after. The contractor, the homeowners, and if you're independent designer, the designer. Just a quick reminder, and then we'll break for some Q&A, is website again is fromdesigntobuild.com. The radio show, FD2B Talk Radio, you can find out more about it on the site. Please sign up for my trade secrets if you like what you heard today. And I want to, before Mike comes on, I want to once again mention that these types of webinars are brought to you by DynaSCAPE. They invest a lot of time and effort into their clients or potential clients, and it's really, they're great people. It's an incredible program, and I personally am very appreciative of the ability, to do these types of presentations, and I want to thank everyone at DynaSCAPE, including Mike Tripp. So that's all I got, Mike. Do we have some questions?
Yeah, we got a couple questions here. I'll get into a couple. The first one here is most of the plans I do are $5,000 to $10,000, $5,000 to $10,000 projects. Limiting the amount of time on the plan and with the client is always a struggle. Is there any guidelines or advice you could share on how to get paid for the planning and amount of time one might put in, or the amount of time I might expect to spend? And kind of the second part of it is, while color drawings are great, I have a difficult time justifying the additional time on doing the color presentations.
Okay, no, those are great questions. The are wonderful projects. They're below the $10,000 price point. It is difficult to get design fees, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend that you talk to the clients about doing the entire project, and not just focusing on $5,000 or $10,000 worth of work. You can, believe it or not, once you start discussing ideas and concepts and dreams, that a client can really start to visualize and understand why they need a master plan as opposed to just a partial plan, even though they only want to spend even though they want to spend $5,000 or $10,000. It's still very important that they look at the overall picture. So I guess to answer that part of the question is that you really try to get them to think about a master plan, show them plans and why the value for them is to do it that way. And if you listen to the other webinars, we talk exactly how to walk through that. Plans take time. Even smaller drawings, foundation plantings, the whole process takes a long time. And if you're not charging for it, you need to. And there are ways to work around that. As far as the color rendering aspect of it, I know that the DynaSCAPE software, the renderings go very quickly. So it's there's an investment in hardware and software for that, but the investment is so worth it compared to showing somebody a black and white drawing or just a blueprint. So you need to figure out, and there are ways to getting paid for the plan, and you need to really provide color rendered drawings.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, to anyone who doesn't have it, the DynaSCAPE color program is very easy to use, and it does take a lot of time off of doing revisions and whatnot from the original design. Now, on to the next question is, what do you say to clients if they do say, why don't you make revisions to the plan and come back for another meeting?
What I do and the way I hedge around that is that if there are minor revisions, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I 90% know what the client wants, more so than they do. And that's just experience. I'm not arrogant whatsoever. But what you want to do is you want to make that sale right there, because the clients are the most excited they're going to be at that point. Once you leave to make revisions and revise the proposal, you're hurting yourself a little bit. You're making it a little harder for the next time. You're giving them a lot more time to think about something, and potentially something could happen during that week. I tell them I will do the revisions for them. I'll take the drawing that I showed in the webinar and clean it up and get them a revised drawing. But I don't want to use that as a reason for me to leave without a signed contract and a deposit. Right? So I'm not telling them they can't have revisions. I absolutely will do revisions for them, but I'd like to do that after they sign the proposal and give me a deposit and or officially a client.
Okay, great. And I think I got time for one more question here. What detail, or do you go into any detail about the specific plant material when you're presenting the plan as you're going across, as you're mentioning the direction, clockwise direction, and going through different planting beds?
I have, again, these are my philosophies, and if there's APLD people that are listening, they're very different philosophy on this, and they're both good philosophies, and actually we're going to discuss on my radio show next week. I like to just sell the concept, the big ideas. I try not to get the clients bogged down in the specifics of the plant material. And the reason I say that, and I know some people are shuddering right now, is the clients that I work with are not plant people. They're not horticulturalists. They know they want their neighbors screened, whether it's Norway spruce, white. They trust me to make the right selection. They're not looking for me to engage them and explain every aspect of the plan. Obviously, there are people, designers that's really their salesmanship and their experience and knowledge is the specific details. I'm a concept person. I like to sell the big concept. I like to sell the big ideas. And those are the clients that I work with. If they're very detail-oriented and very informed on perennials, then chances are we're not going to be a good fit from the very beginning. I know my plant material, as well as a lot of people from the APLD, people that are more into horticulture. So I'm a big concept guy.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I did want to cap it at the 1 hour mark in case anyone has anywhere to run off to. But again, to reiterate, if anyone for anyone's questions we didn't get to, I will be sending the list of all of them off to Jody, and he'll send back his responses, and those will be posted along with the recording on DynaSCAPE's website on the articles and videos section. And I believe you post them on your website as well, do you not, Jody?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and a special thanks to Jody Schland for being able to do these webinar series for us. If anyone has any further questions about anything mentioned in this article or the webinar, sorry, or DynaSCAPE in general, feel free to give us a call here at DynaSCAPE.
Mike, thank you very much for this opportunity, and DynaSCAPE for this opportunity. And thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday, and hopefully we'll all see each other soon.
Thanks.